Well, I bought my Grail watch, and this is my Grail of Grails. It's a watch that I've had on my list forever. I never thought I would be able to afford it, and technically I really still can't afford it, but I have bought it, and I'll explain exactly what I mean in the video by not being able to afford it and how I actually ended up buying it. This is an MB&F, it's the HM5, and I'm going to give you all the details about the watch and the purchase in the video. So let's flip the camera and take a look at my latest purchase, an HM5 from MB&F. Here's the watch. Now, I know this watch is not going to be for everyone, but stick with me, just hear me out on why I like this watch, and I think by the end of the video, maybe you'll understand why I like it so much. So to start off, it's an MB&F, it's an HM5, and it is in rose gold. It's large, but it's not as large as people think it is. When you see it in person, it does look pretty large. However, I have to say it doesn't wear large, and I'll show it to you on my wrist, and I'll explain why I think it's not all that big. But it's a very interesting watch, and it was originally designed as a driver's watch. It was inspired by an inexpensive watch, the Amida Digitrend, which was basically made with a one jewel movement. It was meant to compete against quartz watches, and it provided a display that was digital. People wanted quartz watches, and the Amida Digitrend was a little watch that sort of stood up to that and said, we're going to make an affordable version of a digital watch, and we're going to make it mechanical. That's what they did. I love the Amida Digitrend, but I've always had one major problem with that watch, and I've owned a few. When you're looking at it from the top down, like we are right now looking at this watch, they don't look good. I'm not going to say they're ugly, but they're just a little block of metal. You cannot tell that it's a watch at all, and if they did something on the top to make it look a little bit special, I think it would be really cool. Also, the shape is wrong in my opinion. It's wider than it is long, and it just doesn't work. When Max Buser came out with the design for the HM5, I immediately was blown away by not only the watch, but the price. Back then, the idea of owning a watch like this, a watch that costs as much money as this does, was impossible. It wasn't something that could ever happen. But I'll explain how I got to this point and how I'm holding this watch in my hand. So like I was saying, this is in rose gold, but it's not in all rose gold. So you can see on the top, that is obviously not rose gold. Those are louvers. Those louvers are, I believe, in titanium. There's a little latch here, or knob, and that opens up those louvers. Only two of them open. And you could see when I opened that, immediately you saw light sort of show up over here. If you close them like that, you see that light goes away. So when it's open, light comes in. That's the whole point of it. Basically, the way that this works is there is a movement inside, just like any other automatic movement that you would encounter in a normal watch. It's made by GP, so it's a high-end automatic movement that's inside. It is sitting flat, like any other movement would sit on your wrist. So when you flip this over, you're going to see an automatic movement. Oh yeah, it's a little bit different because it's made by MB&F, so you have a battle axe rotor on there that's in gold, also rose gold to match the case, and it looks awesome. You have these little design elements here that make it look like a radiator. I think I counted like 30 screws on the case back alone, and there's a lot going on, especially if you flip it over like this. It looks pretty incredible. It even says here that it's in rose gold, titanium, and zirconium, so lots of materials going into it as well. You have titanium on the case back, titanium all the way around the movement, titanium on this portion of the case as well. So the sides of the watch are half rose gold and half titanium, as you can see. Very interesting design, and I actually didn't want the rose gold version, but I'll get into why I bought the rose gold version. I got this from Watchbox, and I got it for an excellent deal. Nick over at Watchbox really helped me out with this, and I'm really happy about the transaction in general. And there was a lot going on, so he did a lot of work to help me get this watch. But let's keep on going with the watch, and I'll talk about the sale itself a little bit later. Inside here is a chassis. So there's basically it's frame on body like a car. Inside there's another little case. That is in titanium, and it has a prism, a sapphire prism, and that is where you tell the time. So that's right there. Right now you can see it says it is 1:55. And I'll do a close-up so you could see that. It may not be 1:55 when I show that, but you'll see what I'm talking about. This is rose gold, so this portion is rose gold. So when you're looking at it head-on, you see mainly rose gold. This movement was developed by Chronode. If you're not familiar with Chronode, very high-end manufacturer. They manufacture for very high-end brands, and obviously this is a pretty high-end watch. So like I was saying before, that movement is flat. That prism actually projects an image of the time up at you to see. So when you're wearing this on your wrist and you're driving, the time is facing you, not facing up. That's basically it. And that's what the Amida Digitrend did. Now, they didn't only take inspiration from the Amida Digitrend. Obviously, when you look at the top of the watch, it sort of looks like a sports car. When you flip it around and we look at the back of the watch, you have a very large crown that is hollowed out, it's skeletonized, and then you have these little ports right here in the back. That's the exhaust system. So essentially, because you have a case, a body on frame, so there's an outer case and then there's an inner case, water can get into this area even through these louvers. So the point of this is allowing the water to come out through these exhaust ports. So it's 50 meters of water resistance. Will I ever get this wet? Probably not. I'll probably freak out if I got it wet. I definitely would not, go showering with it or do anything like that. Even though it is 50 meters of water resistance and they say that you can do that, I would never do it. The only place that it's signed is MB&F right there on the entire structure of the watch, but that's it. So these louvers are inspired by 1970s sports cars. They name a bunch of different sports cars, but I think it's one specific sports car, and that is the Lamborghini Miura. If you look at the back of a Lamborghini Miura, it looks almost identical to this watch. And again, I'm a big car fan, and I love the Miura. I think it's a beautiful car, one of the most beautiful sports cars ever made. Technically, I guess the first supercar. And I mean, look at this. It's a little Lamborghini Miura for your wrist. Beautiful. Speaking of on the wrist, I have my Vacheron Overseas World Timer on today. Another one of my heavy hitters in my collection. And I just love this watch. It's definitely one of my favorite watches, probably top 3 now. It used to be my favorite watch, and now I would say it's probably in the top 3, which is definitely not bad. But, the MB&F was always a Grail watch of mine, and so was this. But that was something that I would never, I never thought I would be able to attain it. And I'll explain how I did in just a few seconds. And there it is on my 7.5-inch wrist. Now, it does look big. And it looks wild, but this is an MB&F, and that's really the point of an MB&F. This is around 37 millimeters if you measure it here, and it goes up to around 48 millimeters, somewhere in that range, right around here. And then the lug to lug is just about 47 millimeters if you measure it from here. So this is the widest point to the tip of the tail of the watch. So it's about 47 millimeters. But if you measure it from here, it's around 44 millimeters. So it doesn't wear very, very big on wrist, although its wrist presence is insane. And it definitely is a very heavy watch because you have a lot of gold in it. And in general, it's just a big, clunky, sort of heavy watch. I've already knocked it against a doorknob and I almost crap my pants. But that's what it is, and you just have to be a little bit more gentle with watches like this. You don't want to destroy them because they are pretty special. This does get lume, and I will show you the lume in just a few seconds. I'll charge it up, and you can actually see the watch working in the dark. It is a bi-directional jump hour. I'll throw a video of that so you can see what I'm talking about. A bidirectional jump hour just means that you can go forward and backwards with the jump hour. You don't have to go through all the way. I have watches where you have to go through all the way, and then you have to, get to the time by scrolling through all of the hours. This, you don't have to do that. You can go in either direction, and it is a jump hour. So the way that I was able to afford this watch, well, I've been amassing a lot of watches, and I traded 3 watches against this watch, and I also sold a watch. And I'm going to tell you the watches that I traded, and then I'm going to tell you the watch that I sold. And you're going to probably kick me. But I sold my Panerai Carbotech. Well, actually, I traded my Panerai Carbotech, my IWC Perpetual GST, which is a watch that I absolutely loved. But this opportunity is something I couldn't pass up. And then my JLC Navy SEALs Diving Chronograph GMT, a watch that was very large, probably wore almost exactly like this watch does, maybe a little bit smaller, I don't know. But it was an awesome watch, but I just wasn't wearing it, and I decided to get rid of it. And then the 4th watch is my Cartier Santos, which was also one that was a little bit hard to sell. And I actually sold that to a friend, and I see him wearing it all the time, and I'm like, I shouldn't have sold that. But here we are. I got this watch and basically put all 4 of those watches against this one watch. Kind of goes against the way I collect. I did get a very good price from Watchbox. They gave me really good prices on my trade-ins, so it was pretty much a wash. This watch was priced way less than any other gray market dealer that had one in stock. In fact, it was around $10,000 to $15,000 less after we negotiated, and then they took all the trade-ins to make the payment, which is pretty incredible. I was thinking about going and individually selling them, which is something that I normally would do, and I normally don't trade against watches. But I decided to do it because I really wanted to jump on this. I did not want to miss the opportunity to buy this at such a good price. Yeah, kind of crazy, but very quickly, a Lume shot. Well, there you go. Lume is actually pretty decent on here, but it is a little bit hard to charge, because you have to get light through the top. And obviously, when the discs start moving, if you don't have enough light through the top, you're not going to have lume through the front. That's the whole point of opening up the top of this watch with those louvers so that you could charge the discs, and that's how it works. But I have to tell you, I think that Max Buser really did a great job with this watch. I think it wasn't his most well-received watch. I'm actually in a group chat with Max Buser, and I, posted a picture of this watch when I first got it, and he was just like, I'm glad you like it because it wasn't incredibly well-received when they originally made it, and there was a number of reasons for that. I think it's because of the inspiration behind the watch, the Amida Digitrend, which is an affordable watch, and then basing such an expensive watch. I think the original MSRP on this watch was $93,000, which is a lot of money. And to base something that expensive on something so affordable, maybe people didn't like that. Also, it was on the larger side. So they've been trying to make this smaller ever since. So you have to have a sizable wrist to pull this off. And I definitely can pull it off. I love it. I think it looks great. The HM4 is another watch that I really think is cool. I'll throw up a picture of that watch. It's like a wild pilot's watch that I think is incredibly, incredibly cool. That's another watch that wears very, very large. So some of their designs definitely wear large, and this is one of them. So I think now people are, more or less coming around to this watch. But, hey, because of that, it does sell for a significant discount on the secondary market. And I, of course, love taking advantage of significant discounts. And that's what I got for this watch. Tell me what you think down in the comments below. Did I do the wrong thing basically trading in 4 watches for one? Am I crazy? Tell me what you guys think down in the comments below. Please also don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that bell icon. It's really helpful for the channel, and I very much appreciate it. Anyway, guys, thank you for logging on. Thank you for watching this video. I'll catch you guys in the next video.